Toll. Says the Heilige Gemara in Bave Kana, Samech Tes Amud Aleph, in the very, very bottom of the page. Literally the very last word of Samech Tes Amud Aleph. That's what we're holding, and we do have to have a very good introduction / summary of what's been here yesterday in order to understand what's happening today. We're basically dealing now with two sugyas at the same time. We are talking about Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that a person who stole something from his friend, that friend, what a good friend. Yeah, Reuven stole from Shimon. Shimon is the real owner, okay? And Reuven is the Ganev. Shimon, the real owner, according to Rabbi Yochanan, cannot be Makdish. He cannot actually Makdish anything to Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because it's not Birshusoi. It's not under his control. That was a problem. Why? Rabbi Yochanan found himself in trouble, Kivyochol, because there is an opinion called Tznu'in. Tznu'in are the people who are very religious. And those people, what would they do? If such a very religious guy, a big tzaddik, would realize that his sodeh, his field or his vineyard, is actually every once in a while being taken care of by Ganovim, and it's an orla, forget about orla, let's say it's Kerem Revai. Yeah, so that Kerem Revai, he wants to make sure that the Ganev actually is not eating non-mechulal Revai. So he says, the money that I have will be, will be. Whatever was taken from me, was stolen, will be mechulal on the money that I have. That seems to be against Rabbi Yochanan. Why? Because Rabbi Yochanan said, once it's out of your control and the Ganev's possession, you cannot do anything about it. And here we're saying Betznuim that you can. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no. Rabbi Yochanan said it's not, the real version is not nilkat, but mislaket. In other words, what the Tznuim do, they don't do it la'achar ma'aseh, they don't do it a posteriori, but a priori. They do it before and not after. Say before anybody comes, when the soda is still there and everything is still attached, they say whatever will be taken from here, I'm chalalit now, which means that it's still under my possession, it's still by me, and it's still under my control. So Rabbi Yochanan is happy, and that's how he interprets Tznuim, okay? And then comes another issue of B'reirah. In order to have that working, you're basically working with the assumption that I don't know which anovim. When I say the grapes that will be taken, I'm not pointing in specific grapes. I didn't explain it yesterday as well as now. I'm not saying those grapes in the northeast corner with a nice little shape over there, they are mechulal. I'm saying whichever grapes there will be. I'm not a novi. So I'm mechalal something that right now is unclear. And that's why it's called Yesh B'reirah or Ein B'reirah. Things are now mixed up and unclear, and I'm relying on things to clear up later. Only when Mr. Ganev Ganavsky will come and take it in a day or two or a week, then I'll know retroactively what I'm doing now. It'll be misbarer, will be clarified over there only then and there. And that, no. Ein B'reirah means do you rely on it or not? Right now we say Yesh B'reirah. Rabbi Yochanan right now is in a straight jacket of saying Yesh B'reirah. In other words, it's very easy. In order to deal with someone else's mischief and someone else who's stealing or taking, and you want to deal with it, there are two ways. Either you deal with it after he stole it, and Rabbi Yochanan doesn't like it, Rish Lakish likes it, and others like it, as we see later, but not Rabbi Yochanan. Or you can do it before the Ganev took it, but you don't know what he's going to take. You're not a prophet, you're not the Chvesnish, you're not a Ruach HaKodesh, and then you have to say Yesh B'reirah. We rely on things to clear out later. Then we said, okay, says Rabbi Yochanan, this line will follow us through. Rabbi Yochanan said, Tznuim Rabbi Doisa Amud Davar Echad. Who are Tznuim? Is it a Tana called Tznuim? Who are Tznuim relying on? It's very nice to want to be very frum, but very frum people who are not guided by Das Torah is a very, very bad thing. Yeah, and therefore, who are Tznuim following? Who is the Tana that endorses that Shita? You know, is that Rabbi Doisa? Because what did Rabbi Doisa say? Rabbi Doisa says, as opposed to Rabbi Yehuda, there's machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Doisa about anim, poor people who come to the field, and by mistake, could be by honest mistake, they're not ganovim, they take more than they deserve in the leket, in the matnas anim. Says Rabbi Yehuda, and I have an answer for you, Baruch. Yes, the question. Rabbi Yehuda says every morning the Balabai stands up and he says, whatever the anim will take, I'm now mafkir. So whatever they will take, the second after they take it, only then we know that they took it. And then it's already called hefker, and they can take it home and they don't have to have meiser, and it's kosher and it's good every morning, which means Rabbi Yehuda says, Yesh B'reirah. I'm working in advance. When things are not clear, I rely on them to clarify later on. Yesh B'reirah. And Rabbi Doisa says no. Le'achar meiser. Rabbi Doisa says no. Rabbi Doisa says after it's already in the hands of the anim, every evening, Le'tutei erev, when it's evening and they already took it, then I do the shtick. Then I'm mechalel on things that by the possession ready of the anim. That's not good. So now it's against Rabbi Doisa says against Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Yochanan said, I follow tznuim. Rabbi Doisa says against Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara answered, no, we have to switch over. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Doisa. Really, Rabbi Doisa is the one who said, let's do it in advance, relying on B'reirah. And Rabbi Yehuda is the one who said, let's do it afterwards. And said the Gemara, we have to say it anyways, because why? Because anyhow, we're going to see now that Rabbi Yehuda believes Ein B'reirah, as we're going to see now. Rabbi Baruch asked the question, why does the Baal Bais have to stand there every morning? Why can't the Baal Bais stand there in Rosh Chodesh Nisan when things are still nice and ripe, and then say the declaration for the entire summer? Why can't you have Chavshi Chavchi? Why every day? I don't know. I looked high and low. And then I saw the Tosfos in one of his answers to a different question says the follows. There's more yigdol achreichen. In other words, sometimes, the wheat keeps growing even later on in the spring and the summer. So if you say now whatever they'll take, there's the gvul yesh b'reirah. That's right, the dover shelo b'lo'olam. You can't have a halachic action taking on the piece of wheat, on a bit of wheat that will grow only later. At least the wheat has to be there. Get what I'm saying? Mimela, then we say that every morning, maybe there's new growth. On today's growth, whatever's going to grow today, I'm making a chilul in advance. Whatever the anim will take, I'm mechalel, so they're not over on not meiser. Okay? Yes, Jeffrey has been very patient. Say again what? A lot. If the anim take too much leket, and it's really not leket halachically, instead of taking 2 sheaves, they took 3. Okay, stalks. So now, even if the bite is moichel, but it's still not considered, it's still not leket, it still belongs to Baal Bais, and he doesn't mind if they eat it. Then they have to take meiser. Leket, they don't have to take meiser from. If they think that what's in their hands is leket, so they don't take meiser. But hey, it may not be leket, it may be the nice Baal Bais who allows them. Nice Baal Bais that allows you still have to take meiser. That's why the Baal Bais has to be mafkir in advance, and it's not mechulel, sorry, mafkir. He has to be mafkir, whatever is in the hands of the Oni, once 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now it's the 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm saying whatever the Anim will take, let's say 4:01 in the hands of Mr. Oni, he has the leket, then whatever he took, I'm now retroactively mafkir. Email, it's not chave meiser. In order to say that, you have to rely on Yesh B'reirah. We're now going to see the major machlokas that appears in Sukkah and Eruvin and other places. We don't remember the big machlokas, whether we say Yesh B'reirah or Ein B'reirah. La halacha, we say the Revai Yesh B'reirah, the Rabbanan Ein B'reirah, as far as I remember. Good, we're good to go. Everything will be explained again as we go along. There was a sikum. Ditnan. Now we're going to see the Rabbi Yehuda believes Ein B'reirah. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda must be talking in the case of what? In the evening. After the, not like the Brisa said, we switch the Brisa. Rabbi Doisa in the morning, Rabbi Yehuda in the evening, which means Rabbi Yehuda says after the Anim took it, then you can say whatever is in the hands of the Anim, that is considered to be hefker, which of course Rabbi Yochanan is not happy with. Rabbi Yochanan says, I can't please everybody. I follow Rabbi Doisa and Snuim, and they're my friends. Rabbi Yehuda is not. Rabbi Yehuda says in Chinami that you can work after it's in the hands of the Anim. Why are we forced to say that? Because the other option of doing it before the Maisa, you have to rely on Yesh B'reirah. And Rabbi Yehuda B'alma delays Lei B'reirah. Rabbi Yehuda is known to say Ein B'reirah, Ditnan. Now we come to the main, very famous Mishnah Brisa, Alokeach Yain Mibein Akutim. somebody bought wine from a person bought yain from Kutim. So let's say there's no issue of Nesech. Let's say the Kutim are Jewish enough. Kutim is the big story, Jewish, not Jewish. For sure, the Kutim were not religious enough. The Kutim are very choshud not to take Meiser at all. Worse than the Maratzim. The Maratzim don't take Meiser, but they take Truma. The what's his name? The Kutim are not light. They're the light. They're like, if you know the expression in Hebrew, yeah, it's in Hebrew. Light is like whatever. The kippah is that big, like somebody that we all know. Okay, so then the guy took wine from Kutim, and he thinks that it's not gemeistered, but it's Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, he doesn't have time, or doesn't have the kelim to take meiser. And on Saturday, you're not allowed to take meiser on Shabbos because that's tikkun. You can't be metakan on Shabbos. So what do? You're stuck Friday afternoon, and you need the wine for Shabbos. What do? Oimer, he says now on Friday, quickly before Shabbos, and he says, Shnei lugin shani osid lahafrish. On Matzah Shabbos, I'll be a good boy, and I'm going to drink the entire Shabbos. Oh, be'erech 80% of the wine I'm going to drink on Shabbos. On Matzah Shabbos, I'll have leftover wine in the bottom of the barrel on purpose, and that wine that will be left over on Matzah Shabbos, whatever will be left over there, then and there, that will be the meiser. And I'm telling you now that that will be the meiser, and everything else retroactively is chulin that's good to drink. That's obviously working very, very much with Yesh B'reirah, right? Because right now everything is mixed. As he's drinking it on Shabbos, he's drinking, we don't know which drop of wine will be in his mouth, which one will stay in the barrel, right? Mimela, we rely on, if we think that's a good system, we say Yesh B'reirah. On Matzah Shabbos, in 25 hours' time, then we'll know the winner is those droplets of wine that are in the bottom. Right now, you don't know who they are, right? Yet it works, which means you hold the Yesh B'reirah. Let's see it inside. Shnei lugin shani osid lahafrish. 2 lugin out of 100. Yet 2 out of 100 is like 1 out of 50. You know that. That I will be mafrish, that will leave behind. And then truma. Truma is 1 out of 50. Yeah, it could be 160, 140. The average truma is 1 out of 50, and they don't even do that. Asoro, another 10 lugim out of 100 meiser rishon. There'll be meiser rishon in future, and now to the future. Test meiser sheni. 9 are going to be meiser sheni. Why not 10? Because when you take meiser sheni, you only have to take 9. Because you only take it from the leftover. By the way, that's a very important halacha you should know. Meiser sheni, when we say meiser sheni is 1 out of 10, that's true. But it's only 1/10 of the remaining after you took meiser rishon. Even I know 100 minus 10 is 90. The first 10 you took from what meiser rishon. Now you have 90. 10% of 90 is 9. Umeichel, but whatever you can do, metaken now. Now you mechalel, because what do you do with meiser sheni? You take like neta Revai. You take money, coins, umeichel, you redeem the kedusha of meiser sheni in the coins. V'shoyse miyad divrei Rabbi Meir nekuda. The only one who likes that cool solution is Rabbi Meir. He says Yesh B'reirah. It's true that right now, as I drink, I'm ki'ilu risking it. I don't know if I'm drinking chul and truma together, but because in future I will be a good boy. The guy's a very Rishamai person. On Matzah Shabbos, he'll make sure to leave how many parts? 10 plus 9 plus 2, 17 parts that will be left, and then they will be the meiser truma, meiser rishon, meiser sheni. Mimela what? Mimela, by the way, it doesn't have to leave the meiser sheni. The meiser, leave that alone. Let's say meiser rishon sheni truma will be Matzah Shabbos, even though I don't know which one is who. Since at the end it will be mitbarer. What's mitbarer will be clarified. Mimela now I can work retroactively with a system called Yesh B'reirah. That's Rabbi Meir. However, look at the attack. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon. Wow, he has an artillery of 3 other Tanaim, including our friend Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, which was on the spotlight before. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, Oisrin. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda is in the team that says also we don't believe in Yesh B'reirah, definitely not in Doraisa. You're over Nisa Doraisa because right now it's all mixed up. Yeah, and you will know, but right now you don't know. Yeah, you don't know who's who. So just because later we'll find out that's meiser, and wasn't yet found out now, you don't know right now who's meiser and who's not. We don't like those the way they see those shticken, that they see their way. Ein B'reirah. One thing we see for sure, and everything is very nice. Let's go back to our story with the anim that take too much, the men who knew too much, the oni that took too much. So then what do we say? Rabbi Yehuda for sure is not the one that can say, you can stand every morning nice and proudly and say everything that will be taken, anything will be taken, anim is not, no. There's not anything that will be is now X. You can't do that. According to Rabbi Yehuda, must be Rabbi Yehuda holds the other side in the evening. After the anim took it, that's fine. After the anim took it, and I know, even if I don't know, but the reality changed. Mr. Oni and Mr. Other Oni and Mr. Other Oni, they took X, Y, Z. And I say, whatever is in their hands, which is in their hands, it was mitbarer, was found out and clarified, that is hefker. Very good. Excellent. So Rabbi Yochanan is not with the team of Rabbi Yehuda, and that's fine. Rabbi Yochanan holds, no, you can't act on something that's not in your hands. So Rabbi Yochanan would follow who? Rabbi Doisa and Tznuin, who followed Rabbi Doisa. And they say you can do things in advance, you can do things before, yeah? You can do things in advance, and you cannot do things, yeah, you can't act halachically on something that's not in your hands. It's either or. Frag the Gemara, Amri, they said in the yeshiva, Soif, at the end of the day, why did you turn around the Mishnah regarding Anim with a leket? You changed Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Doisa, Rabbi Doisa to Rabbi Yehuda. Why? The kasha Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Yehuda, right? Because there was a problem, Rabbi Yehuda to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda cannot say you stand in the morning before anything happened, because that means he holds of Yesh B'reirah. I can work things in advance, relying on retrospect, and that doesn't work according to Rabbi Yehuda, because in the Meister we saw it doesn't work. That's very nice, but excuse me, Hashta now, Nami Kashya, now it's still difficult. It's also difficult. The Rabbi Yochanan, there's a steer within Rabbi Yochanan himself. Whoa. Rabbi Yochanan himself, he was Mesader all the Tanaim. He himself is Kivyachol and Ishtoch. Why? The Amarta, you told me, Rabbi Yochanan lo te'emakola nilkat, ela'emakola mislaket. What did we say according to Rabbi Yochanan when it comes to the Ganovim, if that's Nuim? Not obviously. Don't say nilkat, things that the Oni already took, things already taken by the Oni. No way. Rabbi Yochanan is the flagship man that doesn't hold that works. Only things that will be in the future, which means Rabbi Yochanan says, I can say before the Ganovim came or the Anim or whoever, I can say in advance when it's still in my hands, in my possession, my power, my control, then I can say Hekdesh, Hefker, you name it, Chilul, you name it, anything. But in order to work in advance, who is Rabbi Yochanan with? Yesh B'reirah and B'reirah? Yesh B'reirah, beautiful, amazing. Alma, what's Alma? That is to say, Alma, that is to say, thus, Isle B'reirah. As you said, he has B'reirah, he holds Yesh B'reirah. Oy vavoy, look at that, look at that. The Rabbi Yochanan leis B'reirah. Now we're going to prove outright Rabbi Yochanan holds Ein B'reirah. We're going to see something now from a different area in halacha. A famous machlokes all over. Let's say there was a big, not so big, there was a big Yerusha, yeah. There was a whole load of assets that daddy left to his 5 sons, yeah. And from some odd reason, and that's science fiction, it took them a long time until they decided how to split the money. He didn't leave a very clear will. And then, after a good few years with the lawyers and the courts, or maybe without the lawyers, the Kitzer came at some point, Mazel Tov, they decided that the tennis court belongs to him and the swimming pool to him, and half the house to him and half the house to him. Okay? So now there were cholek that divided the assets between them, the assets of the Yerush, of the inheritance. Okay. Now the question is like this. There are 2 ways to look at it. Do we say Yesh B'reirah or Ein B'reirah? Let me ask you the question. Let's say they divided the land between them, okay, the assets, and its lands, let's say, this field and that soccer field. Now came Yovel. Do they have to return everything to the original place? Because Yovel, you all know that a Yovel, if you bought money, you bought a man field from someone, in the Yovel goes back to the original owner. Even by the brothers, there's such a tzad. Why? No, the father is already in a better world, but maybe it all goes back to be together in the assets, in the inheritance. Why? Look at this. Wow. Rabbi Yochanan says the brothers that divided, they're considered to be lekuchos. They're each other's customers, which means we don't say, like I would have said, Yesh B'reirah, and we don't say that we're only mevarer, clarifying that it's as if that's what I inherited to begin with. Let's say that two brothers, Reuven and Shimon. Reuven got the soccer field and he got the tennis court, okay? The Seder, that's what they want. That's after a lot of stories. So now, do we say that now that they divided it 2 years after his death of the father, do we say it's mevarer, it clarifies to me that it's as if I, Reuven, I was always the owner of the soccer field, and Shimon was always the owner of the tennis court, where mevarer, but really the Yerusha, was always mitbarer from advance, in retrospect. Do we say that that's achim shecholku are not lekuchos yorshim? Rabbi Yochanan says, oh, lekuchosen, which means, one second, he doesn't believe that when things are fuzzy and then they clear, ki'ilu, the clarity works. Listen carefully to my definition. If things are fuzzy and then they got clear, we don't say, but the evidence it was always clear. That clarifies lemafreya in retrospect. No, it was fuzzy and unclear. Now it's a whole new thing. Now it's a whole brave new world. Now they're bought from each other. It's as if it's a whole new purchase. He bought the soccer field, he bought the tennis court, and therefore they're lekuchos. They're customers, just like the customer is a stranger, complete stranger. Boom. Ad kedei kach, that according to Rabbi Yochanan, Reuven and Shimon would both have to, or their descendants, would both have to mix again the tennis court and the soccer field. Everyone will own everything. And again, they'll have to do a new chalukah, because really it's just a regular customer, just like somebody comes and buys your house, somebody from the tevel. And therefore we see clearly, Rabbi Yochanan believes, Ein B'reirah. He says, no, when you have mixture and then division, the division works from now on to the future, does not work in retrospect. And Mimela, we see Rabbi Yochanan holds all of a sudden, the Rabbi Yochanan is holding all of a sudden, not all of a sudden. All of a sudden we know Rabbi Yochanan holds Ein B'reirah. And according to you, Rabbi Yochanan, according to what we've seen so far, Rabbi Yochanan believes Yesh B'reirah. How do you know Rabbi Yochanan says Yesh B'reirah? Because Rabbi Yochanan for sure doesn't hold you can act upon the wheat or the barley or the grapes in the hands of the ganav, right? So how can you act upon it with snuim? In advance. In advance means you hold Yesh B'reirah. If you work in advance in something that will be taken, you don't know which one, you would say Yesh B'reirah. And here Rabbi Yochanan, for heaven's sake, says Ein B'reirah. So really it's a big problem. Rabbi Yochanan holds Yesh B'reirah, Ein B'reirah, Ein B'reirah. We only have to answer. I know he was worse actually. So his finger was like very like behind the scenes. Yeah, I'm listening to you. Answer the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Yeah, Ela le'olam kol hanilkat. Line starts with the word beyovel. Ela le'olam kol hanilkat. Kol hanilkat meaning what? Kol hanilkat. We have to really change the version again. Kol hanilkat in the Mishnah. You know what the text that the Tanaim say? Kol hanilkat, anything that was taken. Rabbi Yochanan says Ein B'reirah. And we must say what? Kol hanilkat, things that were already taken. Those heilige Hasidic Tanaim, they say everything that was taken, that is considered meiser. But that is a problem. Why? Because that as Yaakov very eloquently said, we're avoiding Yesh B'reirah and B'reirah, but saying only things that were taken. Oy vavoy. But Rabbi Yochanan seems to be against the Mishnah. It's sad. Rabbi Yochanan, what did he say? Things that are out of your control, you cannot control. You cannot do anything halachic to things that are not by you. So Rabbi Yochanan, back to square one, to the very, very original question of Rabbi Yochanan. Remember the question of Rabbi Yochanan? How can you, Rabbi Yochanan, tell me that things that were already stolen, mufkar, taken from you, stolen from you, anim, how do you say, Rabbi Yochanan says, you can't do anything to them, right? You can't be makdish them, you can't be mechalel them, you can't be mafkir them. The Mishnah says, kol anil kat, which means the Tanaim said things that were taken from a heilige field are now, after they're in the hands of the anim, they are then considered to be mechulal. How can Rabbi Yochanan live with that? Answers the Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan, stama achrina ashkach. Rabbi Yochanan says, you're attacking me. Mishnah is against me. I have another Mishnah. You have a big daddy? I have a big daddy. Yeah, in other words, I also found a stama. What's a stama? A Mishnah, which is anonymous, not quoting anybody in specific. What? No, Mishnah, the Tnan. Tnan is a Mishnah, which means Rabbi Yochanan says, it's all very nice. You found a Mishnah in Tnuim. I like Tznius, but I found another Mishnah that supports my opinion that once things are out of your hands, you cannot do anything to them. The Tnan. What is this other Mishnah? Very famous Mishnah we saw in our parak our own Mishnah. Ein a goynev acher ganev misham tishlum kefel. It's simple. A ganev after ganev, a goynev and a ganev, he pays, he does not pay, excuse me, ein, he does not pay kefel. Amai, why doesn't he pay kefel? Bishlum al ganev rishon lo mishalem. Maybe you should pay to the first ganev, for sure to the first ganev. You don't pay. Second ganev doesn't have to pay kefil to the first ganev. You know why? The gunav mi beisa ish, lo mi beisa ganev. I quoted that many times, and here's the source. It says in the Torah, if it was stolen from the house of the man, as opposed to what? The house of the dog, as opposed to mi beisa ganev. Special limud, you stole from a ganev, you don't pay kefil. Ela lebailim neshalim. But why don't you pay the bailim? Why don't you pay kefil to the original owner? Pay him kefil. Why didn't you pay kefil to the original owner? Ela lav shma mina must be zel fi shena shaloi v'zel fi shena birshusoi. The reason why you don't pay kefil is to the original owner, because once things are out of the person's control, they are not completely his. Not only to do meiser or hekdesh or anything, also that he doesn't get kefil, because it's really not in his hands anymore completely, wholesomely. It is partially away from him. It's not under his control. He doesn't get kefil, and that shows me that he's not the full owner. When it's out of your control, the ganev, you don't know mess up with the ganev, you don't know where it is. He's not going to give it to you, the ganev. Mimela, at that point, you don't get kefil, which symbolizes the fact that you are not not a complete full owner, and zicher for sure you can't do ekdeshim or maestros v'chulei. Therefore, says Rabbi Yochanan, that's what I say. Frag the Gemara, umay chazis, the ozal bosar ha'i stama, li'avid ki ha'i stama, that's nuin. Why did you pick one Mishnah over the other? You have two Mishnahs. One Mishnah tells me, my chazis. My chazis is what do you see? Like, what do you prefer? My chazis is the famous line in the Gemara. My chazis means, what do you prefer? What do you see one over the other? What's your preference of one over the other? Why do you follow that stama of the ganev min ganev? Do li'avid ki ha'i stama, it's nuin. Why don't you follow the one of Tznuin? You have a machlokes Tanaim. That's legitimate. You have machlokes Tanaim. Rabbi Yochanan very clearly followed one and not the other. He followed the one that says that it's out of your control. You're not the owner. Tznuim seem to be saying otherwise. And Tznuim are endorsed by Rab Doiso. So what's going on? Ishum the Messiah Lekro. Before the Mishnahs, there are verses in the Bible. There's a pasuk that supports the Mishnah that says out of your control. Out of, how do you say? Out of mind, out of sight, out of sight, out of mind, yeah. Out of sight, out of control. You can't control it anymore. There's a pasuk that endorses that opinion, and that's Rabbi Yochanan likes it better. What's the pasuk? It says, and as we said already twice, and we'll see again, the ish ki yakdish es beiso kodesh laHashem. The Torah gives us an example. If somebody is makdish, dedicates his house to Hashem, it's a hekdesh. The house is a hekdesh. Why house? Ma beiso birshusoi of kol birshusoi. Just like the house, usually Baruch Hashem is under your control, also because the house cannot be stolen the way other things are stolen. It's true, people can squat and take over, like the Nazis, but the house is not schlepped anywhere. Yeah. So just like the house in a normal matzav is under your control, it never went anywhere. The house. So too, only things that are under your control, you can be makdish. Things that are already out of your hands, you cannot be makdish, says the pasuk. Therefore, I like that drosha better. I don't like the drosha. The drosha is from the Torah, and therefore I like that opinion better, and that's the opinion to follow, says Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, so let's summarize. So Rabbi Yochanan sticks to his guns throughout, from the beginning till the end. Things are not under your control. You cannot do anything to. You're not the full owner of a chayfetz or an animal or whatever that is already taken by someone else illegally. We feel bad for you. We'll do your best to return it to you as based in, as opposed to a secular court that don't even give back the nignav to the victim. They only put the ganev in jail. So the ma'aseh for sure, but it's not completely yours for all kinds of halachic ramifications. It's not yours completely, and that's what he stays with. What about Yesh B'reirah, Ein B'reirah? In that respect, says Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan believes that really, Rabbi Yochanan says Ein B'reirah. Rabbi Yochanan says Achim shecholku lekuchos, and he says Ein B'reirah. He says Ein B'reirah. Yeah. Not Lefi Rabbi Yochanan. Not Lefi Rabbi Yochanan. Of course, there are people who believe that way. Who are those? Tznuim. At the end of the day, what happened? The dramatic the dramatic event of the day was Rabbi Yochanan divorced Snuim and Rabbi Doisa. Yeah. Snuim and Rabbi Doisa believe you can act on things even after they're out of your hands. And I can say whatever the Ganav took already, right? His Rabbi Doisa and his friends, they would say, yeah, that anything that was taken, Enochinami, is not yours anymore. No, they wouldn't say it's not yours. They would say you can still act upon it. They probably believe it's still yours partially. Yeah. That's not B'reirah. We're not entering B'reirah. Yes. Okay. So, Omar Abaye, line starts with Abaye. Omar Abaye. Ilav Domar Rabbi Yochanan, Snuin Rabbi Doisa Omru Dovar Echod. If not for Rabbi Yochanan saying that Snuin and Rabbi Doisa are one and the same, they are endorsed by Rabbi Doisa. If not for that, Ava Amina, I would have said that they're not saying the same. Please refresh my memory before we continue. The Tznuim are good people. They're so good. They make sure that even the don't sin. Who's Yeah? Again, the Tznuim is the case of the Mishnah of Kerem Revai. It's a Kerem Revai, and I own a Kerem Revai, and I know that people snatch, people take, the Ganovim, snatchers, and then the nikit. And what? And then I say, okay, in advance or afterwards, I make sure they're not over. What did Rabbi Doisa talk about? About a field where the Anim come. Anim and Ganovim are not the same. Excuse me. In Anim, it took a little bit too much. It does no. Ganav is mamash Ganav. Not the same thing. And therefore, we're trying to differentiate. If not for you, Rabbi Yochanan, saying Rabbi Yochanan and Snuim are the same, Hava Amina, I would have thought, Snuin islu Rabbi Doisa. Rabbi Doisa leisle the Snuin. I would say Tznuim agree with Rabbi Doisa, the father of Doisa's opinion, or Rabbi Doisa may not endorse what the Tznuim do. Not like you're saying. And we're going to see Tosfos here. Why? Tznuim islo de Rabbi Doisa. We're going to elaborate now. Tznuim believe in Rabbi Doisa because why? Of course. Uma beganev of the Rabbanon Takanta. If Tznuim believe the Rabbanon made a takana, and you can actually redeem it la'achar ma'aseh for the anim, for the ganovim. Why did they deserve to be treated so nicely? What did Rabbi Shimon Gamliel say? And he says, let them eat treif. I have to be taking care of their lumabo. So anim tzricha l'meimar. For sure, if we do say that we're metaking the ganovim, of course we're metaking the anim. Anim are better off. Anim are just innocent people who don't manage so much to differentiate between 2 and 3 wheats. Seder. So of course the anim I'm going to help. But not necessarily meaning this is not a mutual relationship between Rabbi Doisa and Anim. It's a one-way relationship. Yeah, Rabbi Doisa does not believe in Tznuim necessarily. Why? What did Rabbi Doisa say? Anim, without the Rabbanon Takanta. Anim, Rabbanon made a takana. These are nice people. They're okay people. We don't be machshil them by them taking the whole thing without meiser. Okay, we're doing the takana. Aval ganev, love the Rabbanon Takana, not necessarily so. I would have automatically derived from Yudoisa what's good for Anim is also good for Ganavi. Maybe for Ganavi we don't make the takana. Now, explains Tosfos. Let's see a little bit of Tosfos inside. The Tosfos of the day. Tosfos b'maschil hava aminat tznuim. Hey Aleph. It's the third Tosfos here in the page. Tznuim islo do b'doisa. Says Tosfos. V'loi min adin the gozav lo nisyasha bailim shnen enichon la'akdish u'luchalu la'afkir. In other words, I would have originally said the reason why Snuim really, I would have said, Enochinami, we cannot really act on someone else's, on my money when it is really in someone else's hands. Ela, machmas takono, it's not me'ikar adin. It's a takono, special takono, who the ukim rabbanon b'rshus say, lechalel ula'afkir shelekosh lo anim v'ganev, or v'ganovim. In other words, he wants to say like this. If not for Rabbi Yochanan, I would have said like that. Really, we are Rabbi Yochanan followers. We don't believe you can act upon money that's not yours. But I'm sure you all know the rule, which is what Tosfos means to say, though he doesn't say it. There's a rule called Hefker Beis Din Hefker. Comes to money, Beis Din can always move around money from you to me to me to you, whichever way they want. Money is in the hands of Beis Din to play around with. There's a special takono. Rabbanan said, even though it's not yours, we make it ki'ilu, it's yours, ki'ilu, it is yours in order to be mechalel, the mafkir, in order that the anim or the ganavim should not be nichshal. Get what I'm saying? Really, mikardin, I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Really, I believe, out of mind, out of sight, out of control, out of meiser, out of chilul, out of hekdesh, out. Rabbanan made a takana, oh, the poor ganev, or the poor ganev, or poor oni, would only be nichshal. So we say, okay, we make it as if it's yours, so you can act upon it not to be machshil him. Yeah? Rabbi Doiso. If it's only a takana, now we can play around. When did Rabbanan make a takana? When they didn't make a takana? Rabbi Doiso, I'm continuing to Leisle the tznuim the ba'anim over the Rabbanan takana. Only leisle the tznuim ba'anim over the Rabbanan takana. Beloy beganev. Only for anim we make the takana. For ganovim, chachamim don't have to go out of their way and change halacha to help poor ganev, to eat kosher. Let him not steal. Yeah. Now that we say, now the Rabbi Yochanan told us that Rabbi Tznuin and Rabbi Doisa say the same thing. What do you mean same thing? Very good. We're stopping here. It's minadin. Rabbi Yochanan says, although he himself doesn't believe in that, by the way, but Rabbi Yochanan himself says, Tznuin Rabbi Doisa, it's not a takana he can play around with. It's reality. It's a real reality that they believe that even though something is out of my control, I can still act upon it. I Rabbi Yochanan, don't like it. I have another Tana that supports me. But it's not something that's artificial takana. They can say, I applied here, I applied there, mix and match the way I like, interior design. No, it's just a halachic reality of I can always act upon something that's not in my possession. That work for anim, ganovim, and UFOs. It's the chayv in meiser. Nice. You're suggesting maybe Rabbi Yochanan would apply. Could be. I hear. You're saying Rabbi Yochanan believes it doesn't really work. Maybe Rabbanan are metakin it. But the Gemara didn't say it. The Gemara should have said that. The Gemara doesn't say it. The Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan doesn't believe in Tznuim, but goes to a different time. According to you, the Gemara should have answered it, but it doesn't. It's a good question why, but the Gemara doesn't say it. Let's just do one more paragraph. We're not even finishing the Amud today. Omar Abaye. Sorry, Omar Rove. We are 2 lines before the end of the narrow lines. Omar Rove, here, Omar Rove. Ilav do Omar B'Yochanan Tznuim v'Bedois Omar Dover Echad. Starts the same as before, like Abaye. If not for Rabbi Yochanan who told me the statement that Tznuim who spoke about what? Ganovim taking the stuff. And who? Rabbi Doisa that spoke about the Anim taking the stuff. And Rabbi Yochanan made a shidduch and said they're all saying the same thing. You can act halachically upon something out of your control. If not for Rabbi Yochanan, I have Amina, you know what I would have said? Man tanet tznuin Rabbi Meir. I would give tznuim a different das Torah, a different Rosh Yeshiva to endorse them, called Rabbi Meir. Not Rabbi Doisa, but Rabbi Meir. Why Rabbi Meir? Lav Omer Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir believes as follows. Meiser moment gavohu. Rabbi Meir believes in Kiddushin regarding Kochim Talim and also regarding Meiser. Amir says that Meiser Sheni is moment gavoah. Belongs to Hashem. The Meiser Sheni that you eat belongs to Hashem. It's killer you get it from Shulchan Gavoya. You eat the Meiser Sheni in Yerushalayim, or you redeem it, and then you take the money to Yerushalayim. It's not like your money with a higher level of Kedusha. It's the money that belongs to Hashem. Ooh, and he's so nice, and he gave you that money to that fruit, forget of money. He gave you those fruit to eat in Yerushalayim, in his house. Nice. He invited you to his house in Yerushalayim. There you can eat it. You can't eat it outside. No takeout. It's Hashem's money. It's Hashem's fruit. It's Hashem's fruit belonging to him. If so, now let me ask you a question. If this fruit belongs to Hashem, and I live in Bet Shemesh, I don't have koch to go to Yerushalayim to eat it in Yerushalayim, and I can redeem it on my money. How can I redeem with Akiva's money? How can I redeem a fruit that belongs to Hashem? I can't. Still difficult to understand. How can I have halachic transactions, so to speak, which are monetary transactions, with fruit that are not mine? Can I be mechalel your meiser sheni without your permission? No. Or yours? No. So va'afilu hachi, yet the Torah says pidyon works, which means I'm continuing to read. Va'afilu hachi linyan p'dia ukmei rechmana bilshusei. The Torah said it's considered yours for pidyon. It's Hashem's fruit, it's Hashem's papayas, Hashem's kiwis, and you take Meiser Sheni, meaning you switch and you redeem it on the money, you put it on the money, on your money, it's considered yours in a limited way, only to do the pidyon. Dichtiv, how do you know? It says, "V'im goligal ish mimaisroi hamishis esef olav." If you put your own Meiser Sheni, you have to add a fifth. If you put it for somebody else, you don't add a fifth. If you put it for yourself, you have to add a fifth. But one thing we see for sure, ma'asroi. It's called ma'asroi, right? Moisif chomesh, right? It's called ma'asroi, and you have the chomesh. And the Gemara continues, Kerem Revai Nami. Let's continue from Meiser Sheni, which is Hashem's item, Hashem's fruit that you are Ki'ilu, the owner, in a limited way to do the pidyon. Kerem Revai. What's Kerem Revai? Lakneta Revai. Some people say that Revai is only for grapes and not for anything else. We don't pass on that law. Kerem Revai Nami. Gomer Kodesh Mi Meiser. Kerem Revai is the same. Belongs to Hashem, but I have special permission to play as if I'm the Bailim, act as if I'm the Bailim, and redeem it from my money to the Neta Revai, Kerem Revai. How do you know? It's a Gzera Shava. Siva Kodesh Shilulim, Uksiv Gabe Meiser, V'chol Meiser Arts Mizera Arts Mipri Etz Lashem Hu Kodesh. Gzera Shava Kodesh. Ma Kodesh Dichtiv Gabe Meiser. Just like by Meiser, it says Kodesh, and Afal Gav, the moment Gavohu, it belongs to Hashem. Those fruits of Meiser Sheni. When it comes to pidyon, it comes to redeeming, it's considered as yours. Very nice. Just also Meiser Sheni, also Chilul Meiser Chilul Kerem Revai is not your money, but to be mechalel, it's yours. Now says the Gemara something very cool. Ki isei birshusei, we're now bothered so much. Oh, are the grapes in my possession, or did the terrible, horrible Ganav took it and he's hiding it in his den and he's there? Oh, here it's my possession, and over there it's not my possession. According to Rabbi Meir, it's anyway not in my possession. According to Rabbi Meir, remember the line of yesterday? Very good. Kolecha de isei, the Gaza, the Rachmana, isei, not Gaza with the bombs. Yeah, wherever it is, it's like in Hashem's house, possession. So, what's the big difference according to Rabbi Meir? Excellent. He says the Gemara, Ki isei birshusei, even with your possession, nami halav dideyu. It's still not really his. Your possession, Mr. Balgaiva, it's not yours. It belongs to Hashem. The Neta Revai, the Kerem Revai. Oh, this is more. And still v'amatzi machil, right? Mishum hachi matzi machil. Mimelu, you can be mechalel here and there also. Nachon, you can be mechalel whether it's in your possession, ki'ilu, fake as if it's your possession, and also the Ganev's position. At the end of the day, all belongs to Hashem anyways. And anyway, Hashem was mechadish, you can be mechalel something that's not yours. Aval gabi leket. Oh, but when it comes to leket, kevet the mamoni diday. Oh, that's different. Leket is mine. Leket, or the field in general, before leket was taken, it's mine, right? Yeah, I'm the owner. Oh, once they take it, right? That's not true. No. I actually read it recently in my son's Avos Abonim booklet. I wasn't sure, so the booklet sounds to be basically no. Nowadays, they write there. It's written by people who know about mitzvahs at least about Tafshin Pei Beis. Many people today don't leave leket shikropeh because anim don't come. It's not worth it for them. They can get more money from the Mekupa Shel Tzedakah from other sources, and therefore it's not like Truma you have to give. In other words, Truma, even though I can't give it to you, unfortunately, I still have to take it, put it in a nylon bag, and put it in the garbage because it still has to be taken. If I eat it, chas v'shalom chayav misa. Masha'enken, leket shikropeh are not the moment anim always. In other words, it's not like I have to leave. I have to leave if they come. I have to leave for them to come. And if I know they're not going to come, no. But if it's a chiv, truma, I do have to take it, though it's not practical. I don't give it to a kohen. So I'm saying, no, you asked the point, so I'm answering. It's not like Meiser Rishon belongs to the Levi. He can give it to everyone. He can give it to Israel. He can give it to me. because it doesn't have the kedusha of truma. Yeah, okay. But same thing over here. The leket belongs to the bailim. Okay, we're in the middle of the sentence. We'll finish here, and we'll go over this tomorrow. The last thing. And thank you very much. Questions are welcome. Thank you. Have a great day. Yes, Corona, and hope it comes back soon.